Bogdan's Cross is an upcoming action-adventure game that takes you back to the days of the Crusades, where you play as a lowly shepherd bear that grows from a shepherd to a Templar knight in the Crusades. There's something oddly satisfying about taking an army of Templar knights and replacing them with bears. I personally would have opted for panda bears instead, because how could you resist this face? Plus, it would fit right in with the Kung Fu Panda universe.
Finally.
I couldn't resist taking a closer look with you guys and then getting into more details after this trailer. Let's take a look at that really quickly.
Serve your God with unyielding devotion. Uphold the tenets of our order, forged in the crucible of faith. Walk the path of righteousness, guided by the light of divine purpose. Let not doubt cloud your spirit, nor darkness dim your resolve. Remain steadfast, for the journey is long and fraught with peril. For in the crucible of doubt, we find the strength to persevere. Let faith be your shield, and righteousness your sword. Do not be afraid, for he is by your side, lighting your path through the darkness.
Wow, that was actually stunning. That is so unique and different from anything I've seen before. Now, I actually got the developer of this game into a video call with me because I had several questions I wanted to ask about this game. So everyone, welcome Federico to the chat.
Hey buddy, nice to meet you. Thanks Joseph for having me here.
Absolutely. Well, there are a million first questions I could ask after seeing that. There are like so many parts of that trailer that I've never seen anything like before. But I think the only first fitting question is, what made you choose a bear as the Templars for this game?
I mean, there's honestly, it's funny because most of the people focus on that, why a bear?
Yeah.
And when I started making the game, I started thinking about the story of the game. I always have this idea of filling this world with animals in a, like in this game of the Templars. And I choose the bear because I liked the physics, the way they fiercely, all the things that it could be bring with with the bear. It's funny because people saw the trailer and mentioned like the teddy bear. They saw the cuteness of the bear, and it's a good thing because I was intention to have that sort of a cuteness and appealing. But for those who are going to be able to play the game, they're going to be able to see that cuteness is going to go away pretty fast. It's going to go through a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. Well, a bear being a shepherd of sheep, I'm okay with that. I don't know what King David would feel like that because he had to ward off a couple bears in his lifetime. But I personally think that it's a great idea. Matter of fact, if this game takes off, I'm going to go ahead and put in my request. I want a Kung Fu Panda DLC for this game. So if the game takes off, I need to see that happen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And of course, you're going to see not just bears. I mean, there's going to be all the animals. In this case, the Templars, it's not going to be also bears. It's going to be a full, a wide of animals being Templars.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like taking not the Templar story per se, but it's like taking this universe, kind of the same like Zootopia would do, in the movies.
Yeah.
It's kind of doing the same thing in this time of a period.
Well, so I saw a fox in the trailer, obviously, and it would appear that he's going to be the main villain. But what other animals do we have? Bears, foxes. We had even some demonic creatures in the trailer. Beyond those, like, what are some of the other creatures that we have in this game?
Well, you're going to have tigers, you have pandas, of course, you have the bears, we have the fox, we have wolves, we have also like smaller cute animals, because you mentioned something that was like this demoniac kind of a appeal of features. In some cases, you're not going to even be able to recognize what type of animal it is because it's going to be already kind of corrupted by this darkness.
Yeah.
The only one that you're going to be playing is, of course, Bogdan, which is the bear. But you're going to be able to see the full, fauna right there.
Okay. Well, you just said that there are panda bears, so I guess you've got my money already.
Yeah. The DLC idea is a pretty good one. Yeah, I guess.
Yes, I'm claiming the initial idea for that concept. All right, so this game is obviously based off of the Crusades, but I would love to tell us just a little bit more about the world that this game is set in.
Yeah, well, basically, when you're going to be playing the Bogdan story, you're going to be playing basically at the end of the Crusades. It's going to be also, the 14th century. Bogdan is going to be, and this is not a spoiler, but at some point, he's going to play a key role to be responsible of the fatal end of the Crusades. So that's kind of the twist in terms of, of course, it's inspired and based on true events, on true places, on true characters, but with a fictional twist, of course. But the context is going to be the decade or the ending of the Templars Crusade.
Well, there's so much material for you to play around with there, and I'm sure you've already done a lot of research. The Crusades was such an interesting period of human history. It was really dark and problematic period of history. Like, if you don't know anything about the Crusades, you might look at it and say, oh, it's Christians going off to fight for the gospel, and then that's what it looks like from the outside, but there was much corruption, and in many cases, those who were supposedly fighting for Christ were just as corrupt as those who were fighting against. And so I'm curious, are you going to address like some of the darker sides of the Crusade, or is this going to kind of be more of like focusing on the positive side, like the sincerity of the people who are going into it?
I mean, it's going to touch on both, actually, because that's kind of the arc of the character is exactly that. He's raised and he's educated by this code of righteousness, of all the good things, all the things that we know at the Crusades in terms of, they were soldiers of Jesus, they were fighting, in a good way and all that. But like you said, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of dark element in the history. And that's also the same thing that Bogdan is going to find out. And so he's going to be basically pushed to, everything that he thought was a way, he discovers that it's not that way. It's completely different to what he thought. That's why also part of the idea of the game is that to take this period of time, which is historically true. Of course, I always like to mention that it has a very strong fictional twist on top. Of course, we're talking about animals, for the get-go, it's fictional. But I like to always, all the things that I've been doing in, even in previous projects that I've been working on personal projects, I always try to just grasp on true events or on true characters or on something that is true and just build from there.
Yeah. Now, from the footage, it looks like a side scroller, but then I also saw some parts of the game where you can move forward and backwards. So is it like a 2.5D or what is this game going to play like?
It is a side scroller with a limited depth movement. You're going to be able to have a minimal depth movement and interaction, but it's mainly a side scroller.
Yeah, with combat. I don't think you see a whole lot of side scrollers with actual melee combat implemented, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And also I'm coming from a different, I'm not a game dev. I mean, I'm making this game, but I'm not a game dev. I mean, I'm coming from cinematography, I'm coming from animation, I'm coming from a different place, which is of course very related. And I'm doing that on purpose, and I'm trying to do that on purpose, is to bleed or to bring all that experience that I have already on the cinematographic side, on the narrative side into the game. So the camera for me, it's very important. It's one of the things that I try to work a lot, composition, camera. And I think the idea is that the camera, of course, is going to follow as a side scroller. Depending on the scenario, depending on the scenes, you're going to be able to see like different positions. You might be tilted camera, a bit like from above, and you're going to be able to see more of the level. Yeah. It's going to change. Not a lot, but it's going to change through the game.
So the camera is kind of its own character changing perspective. I love that. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about this because for those of you who don't know you or haven't heard of you before, you're pretty successful in the professional art world. You've worked on Netflix shows like Supergiant, Robot Brothers, and you were an Epic Games Mega Grant recipient. You also work as a VFX supervisor for Real FX Animation, which has worked on numerous Hollywood and Netflix productions. So you're pretty well established in the film world, in the professional film world. So I want to know, what was like that process that made you decide to make that jump first to an indie game developer and then also to create something that's faith-based?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, the reason why I started making this game was because even though I've been working in the animation industry with all these projects you mentioned, which I am, I'm blessed to be able to be working on those, and I had a great time. It was like very big milestones in my career. Even the feature film that I co-direct before coming here to Canada. I'm in Canada right now. I'm from Argentina. I'm living in Canada. For the first time in my career life, I wanted to do a project entirely on my own, but not because I wanted to say, oh, I'm doing it on my own, because I wanted to be able to call all the shots, to make all the decisions, even if it's a failure, even if it goes, whatever is the outcome, whatever is even the process, I wanted to be able to make all the decisions as a creative person, even though I know it's a very difficult path to get a publisher or to try to get a publisher to help you to make the game. Honestly, I'm trying to make this game in a way that I can enjoy the process of making it. Of course, I have my commitment and my obligation and my deliveries of saying, okay, I wanted to finish it by this time. I wanted to have this and this and that. I've been working in the industry for almost 20 years, and I've been working in a lot of personal projects as well. And I want to make this game the project that I can look back then after finish it and to be clear and be in peace with myself that I was able to commit to a goal, to a message that I wanted to deliver. And through all the process, I was able to keep it. And at the end of the day, it can leave something more than just the content, just something more than just the product or whatever it is that in this case, the game. But since I was little, I always kind of seen the art of making games as something that was like completely out of my hands in terms of it was too complex, and actually I don't know anything about programming. I'm not a person that even feels attracted to coding, to programming. So for me, making a game was like, it was impossible. It was something that I wasn't even mentally capable of, thanks to the, technology and thanks to the latest kind of engines. In this case, I have a more artistic profile. So like by using Unreal, I'm able to just use blueprints and all that. I'm able to build a game in a very minimal way, in a very, independent way. Your second question is why faith-based? And it's because it's related to that in terms of, I do want to make this game something that when I look back, or when people play, or when years go by and you can see it, you can play whatever, I can feel related that whatever is there, it's also something that I want to bring. It's something that talks about me, it talks about the way that I live my faith. There are some similarities between the struggles or the path that Bogdan is going to take, which the ones that I took through my life. Of course, there's other reasons, but that's the main one.
So it sounds like many different reasons, but you wanted to have creative control and you wanted something that further down the road, when you look back at it, you could be proud of that and you can know that you had created something that was worthy to be proud of. Yeah. I've really just got one last question after seeing just how amazing this project looks and everything about it. I'm sure that there are going to be some people watching this video who would aspire to do something similar. So I would love to hear, what advice would you give to a new game developer who is wanting to create something on the scale of what you've done with Bogdan's Cross?
Well, that's a very complex question. I mean, regardless if it was a game dev or it's just, whatever is the type of project that you would like to do. For me, because I know that it's going to take me a lot of time, basically, I don't know how much, but it's going to take me a lot of time to come with the game or even a trailer, just to make something like that. My advice, or what I try to do when I start projects, is to find that story that is going to prevail in your heart, in your head through time. Sometimes, at least the way my brain works, is like I get influenced by something, I start working on that, and then a month later or 2 months later, I'm like, no, you know what? Now I want to work on this one. And so that's very often, that's very common. And because, of course, in my case, when I started with Bogdan, I started working in Bogdan without even knowing how to make the character walk through the controllers, But for me, it was like, I'm going to figure it out somehow, because nowadays we have in YouTube, we have incredible, talented people that explain you how to make everything, how to do it. So that's not the problem. If you have at least that's sort of a training in being self-taught and being able to just see some YouTube videos, some courses or whatever, and just go forward and do it. For me, the most important thing is to just find that story that you get in love with. You're going to be working on that, thinking about that for maybe it's more like a year, 2 years, 3 years, something's going to be long. And that's for me the most difficult thing, is to first find the story or find the essence of the project that is going to get you involved, and then keep it. It's like, keep the love, keep the flame going, because sometimes, especially when you're working alone, you are your own boss in this case, so you need to commit to something. You're not going to say, okay, today I don't want to work, because you can push it. And that's something that you definitely need to find ways to prevent that to happen. For me, there's that. It's like, if I have a story that keeps me motivated, it's like fuel. It's like I get fueled by the story and I get more excited about it. Then I see people's reaction and it's like, wow, there's some people that is liking it. So it also is fuel for me. And also there's going to be people that's going to trash it, because that's how it is. And that's okay. I mean, as long as the story is true for you, just go for it. I mean, it's like, I'm about to turn 42. I've been working a lot. So it's like, the time for me, it's important. I have a family, I have kids, I have a wife. And so it's like, if I'm going to invest time in something, I wanted to make it valuable, even if it's just for me, to make that time being valuable.
That's great. Well, I think that's some good advice. And for those of you who have watched this video and you find Bogdan's Cross intriguing and you're interested in it, I'm going to put links below where you can go wishlist the game on the Epic Game Store or on the Steam platform. So make sure you go do that today and check out this project. Now, if there are any questions that I missed and there's anything you would like to know about Bogdan's Cross, then be sure to check the video description below and join our Discord server. And you can actually check out our game branch of the page so you can ask any questions that I missed to Federico, who is the developer of Bogdan's Cross. So make sure you check out that link below and join our Discord page so that you can ask any questions that I might have missed in this video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we have content like this all the time. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, right above my head, YouTube's got another video. It says that it thinks you're gonna find very, very interesting. So be sure to click on that. And as always, God loves you. And if you've never entered a relationship with Jesus, I would love to tell you how you can. Contact me with information in the video description below. And with that, peace out. See you guys in the next video.